Alright, here it is. Here's the brewing setup I have. As you can see, the top is called a HLT. That's a 10-gallon cooler. And all that does is hold your hot water. The second one here is called a mash tun. And in order to make a mash tun, the only thing you need to do really is put some kind of screen in there. This is called a bazooka. There's other ones, it's called false bottoms. They cover the whole bottom. And then there's manifolds make out of copper piping. Plenty of videos on YouTube on how to make a mash tun. And from the mash tun, you drain your grains. You get what you call the wort, and it goes into the brew kettle here. And the brew kettle is 20 gallons. And I added a valve to it, and I added a thermometer to it. I didn't add the sight glass to it. To me, that's just more cleaning. It is handy, but I'd rather not clean it. And then you got yourself a propane tank, and that's it. That's your brew setup. And there's my breakfast. I'm gonna go finish that, get the grains together. There we go. Okay. Here's some of the grains we're going to measure out. Got some black malt there. You got some Carafate 3. You got some roasted barley, some crystal malt, some brown malt. Over here, going to measure out 16 pounds of Maris Otter. Alright, first thing we're going to do is turn off my starter, and I want that to settle out. I want all the yeast to go to the bottom so we can decant that, and we're going to use that. That's 4 liters of starter there. Okay, let's measure out and get to grinding. Okay, we're getting to the end of the grinding the base grains, and the base grains, like in this recipe, would be like 72% of the recipe, and that's because you're going after the sugar more than any flavors or aromas. And we're getting to the end of that. Pete, you want to finish that off? Okay, very good. And as you can see down here, it's just a stationary wheel and a rotating wheel, and they just break the shell of the grain open. You don't want to grind it to a pulp. You just want to break the shell open and get the starches out pretty much whole. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Alright, now there's the 16 pounds of base malt. And here's the crush you want. See, it's just broken. The grains are just broken open. Okay? It's not fine. More coarse. Okay? Now we'll go over here and we'll get the specialty grains. Now that's where you want to go after flavors and aromas. And they're generally like 2%, 5% of the grain bill. So you're trading off sugar for flavor here. Okay? Okay, we have the specialty grains all measured out and ready to be crushed. Pete, you want the honors? Yeah. Alright, here we go. Okay, now that our grains are all set here, we're going to add a couple of handfuls of this rice hulls here. And all they are is the outside of a rice. And that's just going to keep us from possibly having a stuck sparge. There we go. Alright, the water here in New Hampshire is pretty good, but we're going to add some treatment to it. We got some calcium chloride here. And we have some gypsum here and some Epsom salt. And we're going to measure that out, and we're going to add some of it to the mash, and then we're going to add another half of it to the sparge water. Okay, it says we're going to mash in with 6.87 gallons of water at 169 degrees. I got my little trusty measuring stick here. It's just a spoon. I put some lines on it. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Keeps on going. And I just basically dip it in the water here, and I get a good, pretty close, accurate measurement of how much water I get in there. Alright, so 6.87. And that's 6.5. Right there, 6.87. Yep, perfect. As far as marks on the stick go, it's perfect. Alright, we'll fire up the propane and get that up to 169 degrees. Okay, the flame's going. Our temperature is rising, and we're looking for 169. When you combine the 169 hot water to the grains, which are around 70 degrees, we should end up with a temperature of 154. And that will allow our grains to have what they call a sack rest. And it's a good temperature for the sugars to come out of the starches. And we'll let it have a sack rest for about 75 minutes, and we'll make our mash. Okay, that's 168. A little bit to go, one more to go. Alright, 169, we'll turn the flame off. Flame's off. And if I don't burn myself, now we're going to open up the valve. Alright, so our water's going in there. We're going to mix it all up. And you want every piece of that grain to get wet. This is called doughing in. And what you don't want is to get big clumps of grain where there's no water in the middle of them. That's just wasted grain. You want everything to get covered. Okay, so I'm going to put the camera down and mix all this in. Okay, got it all mixed in. Looks good, huh? No more dough balls. So now what we'll do is we'll take a temperature, and hopefully we're at that 154. I don't think you can see that. 149, 151, 2, 153. 154. So right on the money. Okay, so we'll put the lid on here, and we're going to let it sit for, I think it's 75 minutes. I'll look it up. I think it's 75. Okay, our mash does have to rest, do a sack rest for 75 minutes. Sacharification is what it's called. But in the meantime, we're going to get our sparge water ready, because it takes a while for this water to get up to temperature. So we're going to go ahead and get on that right now, start filling that up. What we need is 7 gallons for our sparge water, and after we get that up to temperature, we're going to put it up there in the hot liquor tank and have it ready for a sparge. So here we go. Okay, here we are. I started the mash out water, There's 2.5 gallons in that pot. We got a half hour to go for our mash, our sack rest. So we're going to boil this, add it to there for about 10 minutes, and that's going to bring our temperature up to about 168. So our saccharification will be halted, and it'll also thin it out so we get a good flow for our sparge. I put 7 gallons of sparge water in the top tier up there, and it was about 195. And so let's see, we got 7 gallons in that one, 7 gallons in that one, 2.5 gallons in that one. So we got 16.5 gallons total. We're going to leave about 2.2 gallons in the mash tun. It's going to be in with the grains. So you lose that. You lose 2.2 gallons there. So we're going to end up with about 13.7 in a brew pot over there. And we'll take the 13.7, boil that down to 11 gallons. Okay. All right, here we go. It's 75 minutes. Our mash out water is starting to boil. So let's take this off, give it a stir. Let's see how much temperature we lost in 75 minutes. 153.3. Okay, so we lost 1 degree. 153.3. All right. Let's get there it goes. There goes the boil. We're going to throw that in there. That's 2.5 gallons. Like I said, I don't know if 2.5 gallons are going to fit in there. We're going to put what we can and get that temperature up without going over 168. Okay, we're all set to do the Vorlauf, and what that is we're going to drain the wort out of here, and we're going to catch it in that measuring cup, and we're going to fill it up and pour it right back in the top, and we're going to keep doing that until the wort comes out of that tube nice and clear, no grain, husk or debris. All we want is nice clear wort. Okay, here it is. I got some help here to help me film this. This is the Vorlauf, and this is like the 6th time I'm doing this, 6th or 7th. And you can see right now it's coming out nice and clear. There's no grains in there or nothing. So we're all set. I'm going to fill this one up, and then we can start filling up the brew kettle. Okay, so let's bring it over here and put that in there, and we'll pour this right on the top. And you don't want to disturb the grain bed that's around that filter down there, the screen, the bazooka screen. So just put it in nice and easy, and that's it. Now you got a nice clean clear wort coming out of there, and we'll fill that up. Alright, that's going into the brew kettle. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do a fly sparge today. Kind of like doing fly sparges with these 10 gallons. Fly sparge is simply, I'm going to put a piece of tin foil on here. They got manifolds and everything else to throw water on top here, but basically what you want to do is feed water on top of this and try to keep it at the same level as the water leaving. So you want this water coming in the same pace is the water, the wort leaving. So you want to keep that at the same level. So I usually get a piece of tin foil. I put my little tube in there, and what I like to do is just poke some holes randomly so the water will get through, just like that. It's like a horror movie. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn this valve on. Now that's our hot liquor tank that we put our water up there before. That was 95 degrees I think it was. Okay, so we're going to let that go in and keep it at the same pace as the water, the wort leaving. Okay, and that way all your sugars, your wort will be falling, draining all into here, and all this water will be rinsing all your grains on the way down before it goes into the brew pot. Now the other way to do it is called a batch sparge, and that's when you let this mash tun completely drain of your wort, into the brew kettle, and then you add, say, like the 7 gallons here. Just fill this up again, stir it up, let it sit for about 10-15 minutes, and then drain that into the brew kettle. But this is easy. Once you put the 7 gallons up here, just a matter of opening this valve and it just all works together. Okay? That is called fly sparge. So we're going to let this fill up, and hopefully we get that 13.7 gallons. Alright, getting close to the halfway point. Got the grill going. Got myself a Harpoon IPA. Take a look. Looks very good. Okay. You notice we still got pretty much to the same level as we started. So that's flowing pretty evenly. And we got a little bit of sparge water left, probably about that much. Alright, so there's the update. Everybody's working in harmony. Okay, there it is. The mash tun just finished draining, and we'll see what we ended up with. That first line is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, almost 14. So we're right on the money there. 13.9 looks like.